Welcome to video number 4. Is this video number 4? I think it is. On our last video, we talked about the exchange approach, which is about designing questions that unlock the wisdom of as many as possible, is executed through 3 specific stages. We have to know how to initiate an exchange. We have to know how to choose the right outcomes, the right models to use when we bring a group together, and we have to know how to invite folks the right way. And one comment that I didn't share in the last video, oops, just in case you missed me, there you go, is even if we have a great design and we're ready to facilitate with excellence, if we don't choose the right outcomes for the group that we're bringing together or invite them in the right way, the whole experience can be dead on arrival before we even begin. And let's also point out that when it comes to designing, we could invite a group in the right way. We could be ready to facilitate with excellence. But if we don't choose the right questions or the right types of conversational choreographies, then what happens is we walk out of the room feeling like we underutilized, we missed an opportunity to tap into what was really available. And of course, when it comes to facilitating, we also didn't mention on the last video that we can invite people in the right way and choose the right outcomes. We can have a great design, but this is the fastest way for one person to self-sabotage the whole thing. If the facilitator is not of the right mind and heart, they're not in the right place and ready and able to do what's needed to create the space for a group to unlock their collective wisdom. Now in this video, of all the videos, this is one I've been most excited to share with you. What we're going to do is, this is what's happening above the surface. But let's talk about right now what's happening below the surface. So here's how we're going to do this. We have a whole new shape for you. We're going to go to a triangle. Do you see a triangle there? Okay, good. There's nobody here, by the way. That was me checking in with myself. All right, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about, first of all, what's above the surface when we facilitate an exchange? Well, in the simplest terms, what it looks like is a conversation, a powerful conversation where groups are learning together, solving problems, creating a new future together, working better together. Above the surface, it just looks like conversations. If you get way below the surface, the ultimate outcome of this work is we're designing human exchanges that create exponential change, that unlock the most important results in learning environments and in teams and organizations. But let's talk about the heart of the matter. What's really going on below the surface that allows these conversations to deliver these incredible outcomes? So if we come back to this model right here, let's create a distinction. If you think about this old way of thinking about leading and teaching and convening, here's a good way of thinking about this. It's all about, as we said, knowing, telling, and controlling. There's not a lot of energy with this. In many ways, this is treating a group of people like an industrial machine. And that would make sense because these kinds of ways of leading and teaching were born in an industrial age. But when we're talking about unlocking collective wisdom, we need a whole new metaphor. And the metaphor that we use here at Exchange is a shift away from seeing a group of people as a machine to understanding what's actually going on inside of a living system. So let's look at it this way. Here you are, instead of being the sage on the stage, you're the guide on the side. And instead of telling, controlling, and knowing, we start everything here at Exchange with the power of questions. Questions change the future before the answer arrives. In fact, on our next video, we're going to give you examples of some of the most powerful questions that we use. And our process, when you look at the process, and you'll see this in the playbook that we give you in the next video, what you're going to notice is that it begins by inviting individuals to reflect on a well-designed, relevant, and important question. And in fact, our questions alone can be so well designed that these individuals have what we call upward spirals, where they tap into their highest strengths. They connect to a deeper sense of purpose. They discover from within their ability or capability to be intuitive and creative and to solve problems. But our process doesn't stop there, because Exchange is about unlocking collective wisdom at scale, right? So in the Exchange process, what's going on below the surface, above the surface, it looks like conversations, but it starts with inviting participants to reflect personally. The next thing that happens is we move a large group into small groups. And in those small groups, what happens is the opportunity for authentic connection, for an upward spiral in our ability to relate with each other. And if we do this right, we do it in a way where people realize they can be themselves and fit in. We're able to engender psychological safety in a repeatable, reliable way. And that kind of relational well-being unlocks some of the most important outcomes in any group environment. And then finally, if we bring the small groups back together into the larger group and we invite people to share from their small group experience, what we're doing here is we're moving the conversation from within at the individual level all the way to the group level. In fact, our good friends over at the HeartMath Institute have done a tremendous amount of research on something that you can actually measure in a group environment. And their research points to something that we, for a long time, have been calling the 3 levels of well-being, or the 3 levels of power or strength or wisdom or intelligence. It's available in a group, but it is not the default to unlock that source of power, wisdom, value, and intelligence. And the 3 levels, of course, are personal, social, and global. That's what they would say at the HeartMath Institute. Sometimes we'll say individual, relational, and collective, but it's really an acknowledgement that below the surface, the kinds of conversations that unlock our collective wisdom are the kinds of conversations that invite us individually in how we relate with others and at the scale of the whole group to tap into the best of what's available. Now, if this is interesting, then on the next video, we're going to give you a playbook. We're going to give you some examples of the exact questions that you can use. And we're going to give you the most basic choreography, which is just steps in a conversation, to bring this into any group right away. Look forward to seeing you at the next video.